Hey everyone, Sean with Family Creating Financial Freedom, and today's topic is going to be kind of an offshoot from a previous video I did on how much money should you keep on hand at home for emergencies. I'm going to tag that video at the very end of this, so you certainly want to stick around so you can go and watch that if you haven't. Do me a favor, go down, follow my channel, like this video. It helps me out. A couple times a week, I do videos on various financial topics designed for families and individuals just to help them out personally. So now let's go into a follow-up. Like I said, I did a video discussing how much cash you should keep on hand at home in the case of emergencies. In recent weeks, it's stirred a lot of discussion around it, mainly because we've had a couple of banks fail. Some people have a lot of concern about monetary structure around the world. I'm not going to go into political opinions one way or the other, but I believe that there's a value, irregardless of how things are going, for having liquid reserves in your home. If you had to suddenly pick up and go somewhere, just as simple as helping a friend or doing something, having access to cash immediately is of huge value. But beyond that, how about investing some of that cash in an item that is not going to really see a decline, not going to be a risk of you losing money, and you can still convert if you needed it. And so let's talk about that. That I'm talking about is gold and silver. At today's price, gold is going for $1,924 an ounce, and silver is going for $21.65 an ounce. Well, that's a chunk of change to buy an ounce of gold to have around in your house for an emergency fund if something happens. So that's a difficult one. But if you build up a large reserve and you want to invest in a diversification model, it's not a bad thing. I don't expect that we'll ever see a steep decline in gold and silver prices. But I also will say I think it's at a pretty all-time high, unlikely to go up a lot more, but very stable. My mother-in-law and I have had discussions about if there was a complete collapse of the monetary structures of the world, using gold and silver as a way to pay for goods. Well, an ounce of gold, if that's what you've bought, is a pretty pricey exchange for a loaf of bread. I don't quite know how you would barter comfortably and safely ounces of gold in exchange for foods and medicines and things like that. What would be an appropriate exchange? I don't know. So when it comes to you wanting to invest in safe things, I tend to favor silver. You can go out and buy an ounce of silver, and generally that's in the form of a coin, silver coin, and collect those and store them somewhere safely in your house, and feel like over time, if you buy an ounce of silver or a couple ounces of silver a month, that adds up without you really noticing. The next thing is you could buy 10-ounce bars of silver. That's a little bit more of an investment because you can do the math. You're now looking at spending $210, $220 a bar and having something around. It's not going to hurt you. It's not as easy with a working economy to convert that in an emergency fund. You've got to go somewhere where you can, in fact, sell it in exchange, but you're not going to lose any money. It's an interesting piece of your strategy. I recommend that you first develop the initial three months and then 6 months of emergency fund in your house before you start heavily going into gold and silver investment. But if you really want to implement one or the other, in addition to having cash reserves, I lean towards implementing silver. It is easier, it is attainable, it is something you can tomorrow invest in for essentially the price of a family meal out or a family meal in, given the price of groceries these days. So that's my 2 cents on diversification of your emergency funds at home. Do me a favor, comment, tell me your thoughts. I'm interested in what you're thinking. And if you also are of the mindset that in the collapse of a world economy, that gold and silver would be how you would barter for food, medicines, and goods, what's the approach for smaller items? A $20 worth of groceries. How does that equate to an ounce of silver or an ounce of gold, if that's what you're holding? What's the philosophies, the strategies? Not going too far off the deep end, but I'm just curious. I'd like to learn what your thoughts are on it. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. Take care.